Well, hello again. You are watching Brian Northmore Photography. It's my mission to inspire the photographic community by passing on my knowledge, passion and skills. I'm a photographic judge, lecturer and workshop leader based in southwest England. You can subscribe anytime by hitting the button or the watermark, and don't forget to tick the bell icon to get those important updates. So in this video I'm going to carry on where I left off last week. So this is effectively part 2 of my workflow in processing one of my recent images. So this week I'm going to pick up after we leave Lightroom, and we're going to go into Photoshop and show you my workflow on there. So I'm not going to sit here speaking to you anymore. I'm going to go straight into the video, and if you want to watch last week's, I shall put up a link in the comments and at some point at the top of the screen. Okay, so I hope you found that useful. So what we covered in there, just give a quick recap before we go into Photoshop. You select your images, you go into photo merge, panorama merge, spherical projection, auto crop, and then do the basic edits in the develop module. So I've included my Photoshop workflow in this, and it's really just as a way of completing the process. It's not intended to be a tutorial, it's more of a sort of demonstration of what I do. So let's just go into Photoshop. It's about another 5-6 minutes of it, and it'll just explain to you how I finish the picture off. Okay, so here we are inside Photoshop. You'll see from the screen that I'm using Adobe Photoshop 2020. Obviously this is one of the creative cloud versions. I'm using a very simplified screen setup so that I can show you what I do with my images when I get them inside Photoshop. Now this is going to be a very brief sort of introduction to what I do, and to aid that I've just pulled over the various layers that I've worked on, and I'm going to open those up one at a time and just show you the changes that I've made them. So I'm going to go through first of all the color version, and then the monochrome version, which is the version I kind of had in my mind when I originally took the photograph. Now you may see a few pop-ups appear when I'm working within Nik efex, because I'm currently running a trial version of the software, having had a need to just sort of upgrade my operating system and Photoshop versions, and that's kind of meant that my old version of Nik doesn't seem to be working correctly at the moment. So I'm running an evaluation copy and with a view to purchasing it, but hopefully it won't interfere too much. So the first thing I do when I come into Photoshop with my images, I do tend to work on them in Nik efex. So first of all, working on the color image, I've used efex, which is basically used for doing color correction, some sharpening, lightening of shadows, highlights, etc. And that's just a quicker, fairly intuitive way of doing it. So we'll just let that do its bit. Okay, so there you go. You can see that already it's sort of really brought that tree out from the background, and that's what I want to get with this image. I want to get it so that that tree in the foreground really stands out. I want this bit here to all sort of burst forward and be the main part of the image. So after doing efex and adjusting some bits and pieces there, I'll go into color efex, and we'll apply that. So we'll just let that do its thing again. Okay, so there again, once again, sort of color efex has done its thing, and instantly I think you can kind of see that it's darkened the background and the edges a little bit, and I've applied something to it just to do that. And once again, you know, it's deepened that saturation a bit and brought a little bit more color out. Now what I did up here was I set up a group that has a number of color edits on it, and also a number of I'm going to switch them off, and also a number of mono edits as well. So we'll go through the colour ones first, and then we'll do the same for silver efex and look at the black and white version. So the first thing was over here on this sort of right hand side here, I didn't like these bright areas. So if I switch this one on, you'll just notice that I've cloned some more foliage in that backing just to get rid of some of those light ones on the edge. It seems to balance the image a little bit. Bright things on the edges of the frame tend to take your eye out, so I just wanted to lose that. What I also do with a lot of my images is I like to have a little vignette around them, and with this one it was quite important as well just to have a look at it, and it just darkens the whole thing down and makes the image stand out. So that was my final colour image. So we can just switch all of that off again, and then we can start just working on the monochrome one. So I'm going to switch off Viveza, I'm going to switch off Color Efex Pro and switch on Silver Efex Pro. So we'll just let the computer do that. Okay, so there we are. We've just applied Silver Efex Pro to the image. Now basically what I do in Silver Efex Pro is I kind of try and do exactly the same to it as I would with any of my Viveza or Color Efex soft edits. So I'll basically switch both of those off, and we've just used Silver Efex. One of the beauties of using layers and smart filters is that obviously you can make these changes, you can switch things on and off, and you only have to have one file. So I've opened up a group of mono edits as well, which are basically the same as what I did before. So once again, I've got rid of this tree on the right hand side, got rid of a little bit of that, cloned that out, and also added a vignette and everything around it. Now what is interesting with the vignette is, if you have a look at this, I've actually also applied a mask to it. And the idea with the mask is that it is black. The mask in the middle means that it actually stops any of the darkening effect coming over the top of the tree. So the vignette actually sort of just keeps off the edge of the tree, so it makes it stand out even more. And that's the idea behind it. What I also did on this image, to keep in line with the other images which I've made in the set, I've applied a photo filter to it. So the photo filter that I use is a slight warming filter. So when I activate this one, you'll just see the image go very slightly warmer. And that's my finished image. So when I was in the field, I had in mind that I was going to have a image of this nicely shaped tree that stood out from the background, but the background was slightly out of focus. And I wanted the tree to glow and sort of come out and stand out in the background, because that was what attracted me to taking the picture. So yep, fair enough, it's not the world's best picture, it's not going to win any awards, it's not going to break any new ground, but it does capture that moment for me very, very well, and what it is I enjoyed looking at, and I'm pleased to be able to share that with you guys, you know, on YouTube. So a successful image for me in that respect. So I hope that this has been useful. The Photoshop part, I admit, was very, very quick, and if I had gone into full detail on it, it would have gone on for a long, long time. So anyway, I hope that you found the Photoshop part of this really useful. Okay, so let's just recap on what we've done this morning. We've covered Lightroom Photo Merge. We've done some basic editing in the Lightroom Develop module, and then I've showed you my workflow inside of Photoshop. If you've got any questions, then please put them in the comments. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and if you did, then obviously please consider subscribing. Let's just have a look at the final image. Right, okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did and you haven't already, then please consider subscribing. Don't forget, when you go and subscribe, to tick that bell icon, and that'll enable you to get any updates from my channel. Also, whilst you're at it, leave comments below. Enjoy seeing your comments. If you've got any suggestions or anything that you'd like to see in future videos, then please tell me about it. But for now, it only leaves for me to say to you guys, please enjoy your photography, and I'll see you next time.